Hi, I'm Marsh from StrataGames, and today we're playing some Mono Blue Faeries. This is a deck I haven't played in a while, so I figured I'd pick it up again. And there's been a new development since last time I played it, which is that we have Ilvoy Galeblade as a new fairy. Not technically a fairy, but it's a flash flyer that seems pretty good in the deck, and it's also a non-human, which is relevant for Of One Mind, which we play. Other than that, we're playing our Fairy Miscreants, Fairy Seers, to buff up our Spellstutter Sprite to be a better counterspell. And we're trying to pick up all of those creatures with Moonstrucker Hacker and Ninja of the Deep Hours to regain their ETBs, as well as drawing extra cards. For combat tricks, we have a couple Mutagenic Growth, as well as Humbling Elder, to try to keep our creatures alive. And then for interaction and counterspells, we have Snap, some Dispels, and Counterspell itself. We're also playing a couple Harrier Strix. This can tap down your opponent's creature and also loot in the late game. And of course, Of One Mind to draw some cards. In our sideboard, we have 4 Annul, a couple of Bind the Monster, Blue Elemental and Hydroblast, and some Gut Shots. So let's take this for a league and see how we do. This hand has too many lands, so we're going to mulligan. But this one looks pretty nice. 2 Fairy Miscreants, Spellstutter, Moonstrucker Hacker. I think we just get rid of the Fairy Seer, try to keep everything else. We're going to keep this one, get rid of the Fairy Seer, and they start with the Bajuga Bog. We're going to play a Miscreant. So Bajuga Bog could be a number of things. It could be like Jund Wildfire, it could just be Gardens. The Cyclolorian revealed, so it looks like it's going to be Dimir, Fairies, or Terror. And them getting an Aquifer here, playing that. This gives us some outs, except they could have a Snuff out here. But if they don't, I can play a Fairy Miscreant, draw a card, then attack, and Moonstrucker Hacker this back, draw another card. That seems pretty good. I think it's worth going for. Hopefully they don't have the Snuff out. It looks like they don't. If they're fairies, Mutagenic Growth can be pretty nice to combat their fairies, or like their Augurs of Bolas and stuff like that. Moonstrucker Hacker's going to connect, draw us another card here. Feeling pretty good. Fairy Miscreant, of course, can draw another card, plus I can leave up Spellstutter this turn. Cyclolorian for an island, and they have a Cryogen Relic. Okay. Could be Dimir Abjure then. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Get a counterspell. Yeah, we're going to play a Miscreant, draw a card, get in for 3. We get to loot and leave up our counterspells. Of One Mind's pretty good. We've already played a land. We don't need to play it this turn. I think Mutagenic Growth probably isn't going to be super relevant, is my assumption. If it is Abjure, and the Humbling Elders are just more creatures and stuff. They're just going to pass, and we will do the same. They could have a Suffocating Fumes in our upkeep here. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Cast out in the upkeep. Okay, I could go for the Spellstutter. Feels like it's probably pretty safe. If we don't hit a land, though, we can't hold up Counterspell. I think we're going to go for it, though. Dispel's actually pretty good. We're going to loot. Land would be nice. Spellstutter. I'm going to get rid of a Humbling Elder. I could go for the Of One Mind to try to hit the land drop, but if we miss and then like Suffocating Fumes, we're kind of screwed. Whereas with the Dispel, actually, if they go for a Fumes, we actually are in a pretty decent spot. And that's exactly what they do. So we could be up a land if we hit with the Of One Mind, but if we don't, we just get bodied and we actually just win the game right there. So pretty nice start for us. Could just be some Dimir control deck, but with the Cryogen, I'm going to assume it's Abjure, which I guess is a control deck, but you know. Abjure alone doesn't make me want Annul, though, or Cryogen alone, that is. Bind the Monster, I don't think we need. I think we're kind of set, honestly. Like, Mutagenics don't seem necessarily super helpful, but probably better than anything else here. I guess Bind if they are, like, we didn't see any artifact lands, but it could be like Packdoll. It's probably more like Murmuring Mystic. I think we just send it back. All right, this hand is solid enough. Let's start with an Aquifer. We're going to Fairy Seer. Spellstutter and Of One Mind. Those are both pretty good, but I do want to hit land drops. Of course, Of One Mind can help with that. Spellstutter. I think we're going to keep both. They have a Tithing Blade. Okay. I'm going to Strix. We can also Humbling Elder here. In case they have like another Tithing Blade, that means I can get my Hacker down. Plus, if they both survive, then we can also Of One Mind. Cast down. Sure, that's going to die. They have an Aqueduct. Humbling Elder, so I can still get a Hacker down. But Of One Mind is going to be tricky. Draw a card, hope it's a land. It's not. We'll pass. They're going to cast a Refurb. Mutagenic Growth does let like a Hacker trade in combat, but so does Humbling Elder. Kind of think this is our least useful card. I could have flashed in the Humbling Elder at the end step, I guess. And then if they blocked here, I could have ninjutsu'd and then Hacker. That might have been better. I mean, I still think we'll attack an Elder here. They have to have like a counterspell with blue mana. Yeah, otherwise that's fine. That wasn't terrible, but it could have been better if I had played this before and then I Hackered it, got a card draw, and also did that. Arms of Vidar, not the best, not the worst. They have 3 cards left. We do get our island. We're going to just pass with our counterspells up, flash in a Spellstutter, hope it resolves, but it does not. I think we just go for an Of One Mind, pass. Archaeomancer. Gets back a counterspell. Okay. I guess we'll flash in the Humbling Elder. It gets blocked by the Archaeomancer, but if we get another Mutagenic Growth or the Harrier Strix, it could be okay. Just another hacker. Attack. They block. Just gonna hard cast a Moon-Circuit Hacker. If they counter that, I'd probably play another hacker. If they don't, we'll just hope the counterspell for like a Mystic, or I'll use it on the Lorien. I know they're gonna counterspell, but might as well get it used and make them tap out. Mortuary Mire, back the familiar. Interesting. Swing with the team. They block the Elder. We're going to swap these, so I'll draw a card instead of having to loot. Play an island, and I think we'll just play another hacker since I have this third one. Hope there's no second Arms of Hadar or Suffocating Fumes. Grim Bauble, sure. Picks off a hacker. Refurb eats the island. Well, a null can definitely come in. We did not see enough artifacts to warrant it before, and it is kind of a half artifact, half spells deck, which is interesting. Alright, Mutagenic Growth is something. We'll swing. Block here, block here. So these are all trading. So what do I want to survive? The Elder or a hacker? Probably the Elder, because I already have a hacker. Alright, we'll pass. But of course, if they have like another Archaeomancer, this doesn't get through as well. There's another Lorien. And a Tithing Blade. Humbling Elder. I guess I won't hardcast the hacker then, because we'll just flash out the Elder. This way I can dodge another Tithing or something. Well, that's annoying, because now I could flash out the Elder, but then I have to discard the hacker, which is what I really want. I guess I'll discard the Elder then. Seagate Oracle. Yeah, it's a weird deck, because it's just like half artifacts, half other stuff. I guess it's trying to marry like Ghostly Flicker Cryogen Relic with like refurbs and whatnot. I think we've lost, but we'll see what we draw here and what they do. Surveil 2 with the Grim Bauble. Muldrifter. Attack for 3. I mean, I could like snap the Muldrifter so I could get in with the hacker, but I don't think we're getting there. Well, I now actually know they're playing stuff that can get annulled, so let's take out the growths. And the snaps don't seem very good either, since they have a bunch of ETBs. Alright, we have the double Miscreant again, which is nice. Plus a Dispel. I kind of want a Miscreant and the Miscreant hold up Dispel, but they could Grim Bauble right away, so I could waste some value off of these. So I almost think I'm going to Fairy Seer and then use these later. Although we get a Hacker, which would be better if we had the Miscreants down. I think I'm put away the Gale Blade, but keep the Hacker, because we also need to hit some more lands. Play a bridge. Yeah, we'll go for a hacker on the Seer. It's not as much value as picking up a Miscreant when we have 2, but this way we should probably be able to find an island. I think a null is good too under the island. Refurb. So I'm going to draw an island here. I could then Miscreant, hold up a null. I guess we get rid of one of these spell setters. I kind of don't want this hacker to die, but I think we just got to attack in. I actually blocked the Fairy Seer because they're worried about another ninja. Okay, I kind of like that. Although I guess I don't like a null. I don't want to discard any of those 5 cards. So I guess I won't draw. Maybe I should have played both of these first, because then I had an unknown and I could discard like an island. I don't know. Here I'm okay though, because I can counter like a Suffocating Fumes or like an artifact of some sort, and then next turn I'll hold up Spell Stutter, cast down. Yeah, we'll dispel that. They have a dispel as well, sure. Island, we'll hold that in case they get a refurb. I mean, I'll probably counter the first refurb, but I don't need to play an island at the moment. Cycle a Lorien for an island. They'll pass. Fairy Seer. Swing. Play the Seer. They have a counter spell. If I go for a spell stutter here, if they have the Suffocating, we're kind of in a bad spot, so I think we just let it go. I will play the island this turn because I could want to play both of these. Cycle another Lorien. Cryogen, we'll try to annul that. Moon-Circuit Hacker would be real nice right now. They're going to cast down in our upkeep. I guess we kind of need these for the Moon-Circuit to be good. Or any ninja, that is. Plus, they only have 1 card left. I'm hoping it's not a Suffocating Fumes or a Lorien or anything like that. Refurb, we did keep the island for this. And then Murmuring Mystic, well, that's not great. Of One Mind, could be worse. Do I want to attack? We lose our Spell Stutter for a refurb. They take 2. We're going to need to keep attacking, and I just really hope they don't draw any spells, though, that trigger the Mystic. But, like, unless I get a Humbling Elder off the top, it doesn't really make sense to, like, hold those back. I don't know. Their deck's filled with lots of powerful cards, but it feels like it should be kind of awkward, because, like, Mystic doesn't get triggered by any of their artifacts. They do just have another refurb, which is good, though. So even a ninja doesn't do me much good at this point. I mean, it's still good, but it doesn't pick up a Miscreant that has a trigger. That's a pretty good draw. Island is irrelevant. Well, now I get to attack again, and even if one of these dies, Ninja's decent. Alright, you get a Tithing Blade, okay. At least it doesn't make a bird. I would still take a ninja, 100%. Illvoid Gale Blade, okay, that's not bad either. Can flash that in. They just flip the Tithing Blade, that's not too bad. Flash in a Gale Blade, Humbling Elder, okay. Swing for 2. I don't think we sacrifice the Gale Blade. I would love to draw something more powerful, but like we are winning at the moment, although if they draw something good like a Lorien or Arms of Hadar, we're going to lose. There's the Arms of Hadar. I mean, I get to sacrifice this. There's the ninja, but they don't attack with the mystic, so playing the elder doesn't do much, unless I get like a snap. I think we might as well play it. Although we cut the snaps, didn't we? Ugh. Spell Stutter's decent. Although now I wish I had the Humbling Elder in hand. Yeah, their deck is just really weird, but I guess it's working. Mortuary Mire buys back like a refurb, I suppose. And if I flash out a Spell Stutter, I kind of need a Humbling Elder to like make it so I can actually ninja. I feel like that could just be a waste. Another ninja. I guess I'm just going to play one of these. They're about to get a refurb back, so I'm not going to play this island. Discard that. Another Spell Stutter. If I attack with both of these, they trade double block. If they double block, I actually get to eat this and the Spell Stutters can get through. That's not bad. But if they just chump here, I'm trading this for this, which is not great. I think we're just passing this turn. They top deck a Lorien revealed, of course. It's really annoying. And a refurb, which I can't counter. I guess I discard one of these. Now it doesn't matter if I play it. And I mean, we're just dead. You can now pick up my comprehensive guide to Esper Cryo Affinity, including 38 sideboard matchups. And I just put out a big update for my Black Sack guide, including a slightly different deck list. I began offering coaching sessions if you're interested in taking your Pauper game to the next level. And I'm accepting deck donations. So if you desperately want me to play a deck that I usually wouldn't play, something like Elves, then you can make me do that for a small fee. I've started posting a League video every single day, not to mention streaming at least a couple times a week on Twitch, but I'm not going to be able to keep that up forever unless I can get a little bit more help from the community. Any of the ways I've just mentioned are great ways to help me out, or you can even subscribe and support me on a monthly basis. All right, we're on the play here. We go for a Faeries here. This hand is decent enough if we can land the Moon Circuit Hacker. We don't really have much interaction at all. I don't think we need a 4th island. Another hacker is really good if we don't get interrupted at all. Really bad if we do. But there's no way anyone would be rude enough to interrupt us. Let's keep it. Okay. Honestly, if we're against like something blue, it might not be too hard to get these going. They just brainstorm here, so I definitely can hacker and then Fairy Seer again. Draw a card. Dispels. A good one to hold up, but we're gonna get greedy and play the Fairy Seer this turn. Of One Mind is good. I don't think we need a 3rd hacker, but Of One Mind is good. I just think if they're mono blue, these are just going to be fine. If they're like blue-red because of Scred, then Mutagenic Growth can keep these alive through a Scred on 2, obviously not a Bolt. I don't know. They ponder. Perilous Landscape. So I would assume Scred or maybe Jeskai. Definitely good to hold up Dispel this turn. So I can Of One Mind here, and then I can Moon Circuit Hacker back the Fairy Seer, and then hold up Dispel. I think that's probably the way to do this. I could also just like hacker and hold up Snap and Dispel. That's kind of boring though. Another Moon Circuit Hacker. We just put one on the bottom, pretty sure. So that's all 4. Pick up the Seer, hit for 4. I don't think there's any way to make sure we draw these in the right order, so I have to discard first, which is annoying. We also get a Ninja the Deep Hours. I think I don't need both of these ninjas. I guess we'll get rid of the big one. I can maybe fit the big one in. We'll get rid of a hacker, draw off the other one, and then pass. I think if we just Fairy Seer here, we get Breath Weaponed really easily, is my thought. Which I could Mutagenic Growth to keep one creature alive, but that doesn't make a lot of sense if I could just, like, dispel it. And they just play a Volatile Fjord and pass. I mean, I have already a good amount of pressure. I don't really need to do anything. So I'm just going to attack for 4 and see if they have anything. If not, I'm just going to loot twice. Like, they're forced to do something before I am, because I already have been proactive here. We'll discard this island. I will want another land for next turn, but we already hit our land for this turn. So yeah, let's discard that one too. I probably should have Fairy Seared first, actually, to scry. Because I think I'm going to do that. I have 1 Dispel. So like I could have maybe drawn a counterspell here that could be better. Because if they do Breath Weapon and I Dispel and they have a Dispel back, I don't actually have a way to deal with that. Whereas if I had scribed those islands to the bottom and then kept Spell Stutter on top, that would have been far better. Something to keep in mind for next time. I'm going to keep these both, but I'm going to keep the Spell Stutter on top because if my creatures survive, they have a Galvanic Discharge. I'm going to just let that go. If my creatures survive, then I'm going to be able to draw with a Ninja, and I'm going to be able to draw into that Of One Mind anyway. And if they don't survive, I don't actually want the Of One Mind because it's going to be too expensive. Alright, they cycle a Lorien as well. Ponder. They could get up to a Terror here, which would be kind of annoying. They'd have to tap out a blue, so I could definitely snap it back. Not a big deal. They Suplex to deal at 3 damage. That could also let him play a terror. So I can't mutagenic that. I could just snap it if I want. I think that's fine. And if they want to counter this, I could dispel their Spell Pierce. But honestly, I don't actually need this to come back because I already have the Ninja the Deep Hours. So I mostly just wanted to bait for something else, so that's totally fine. So now I could draw with a Ninja, I get an of one mind, I play a Faeries here, and then I hopefully scry into a land of one mind, and I can hold up Dispel. It's a little greedy if they do find like a Breath Weapon and a Dispel or a Spell Pierce, but I think it seems pretty good. So we'll draw a card. Like, I could just hold up Spell Stutter, but that's just for one. That doesn't seem very helpful. Fairy Seer. These are good cards, though. Do I really want to get rid of them? I could just hold up Dispel, not of one mind this turn. I kind of think that's worthwhile. Fairy Miscreant makes this Miscreant pretty good. Spell Stutter is just a strong card. They have a Scred for 4 damage, so I can't mutagenic to keep it alive. I think it's probably worth a Dispel. Trying to keep Ninja around. If they want to counter, so be it. If they have just another removal spell, that's fine too. Spell Pierce. Alright, it's gone. Island. They don't have a terror, at least not when they're playing. We have lost all of our humans, so the F1 mind is worse. But I get to double Fairy Miscreant, hold up a Spell Stutter for 4. That seems alright. Play these. They're going to counter the second Miscreant. Well, I guess we'll play into a Breath Weapon now, if they've been this patient. Going to try to Spell Stutter the counter spell. We're just in a really good spot. We also have a Spell Stutter on the top of our library. I guess we're already in a fine spot even if this Miscreant didn't resolve, so maybe I should have just left it. Because if we do get blown out here... If we do get blown out here, we could lose the game, but we end up winning it. So we get some number of Hydroblasts and Blue Blasts. We saw Mutagenic Growth did not actually keep our guys alive almost at all. And there's not really a lot of creatures to snap, so I think we'll just bring in 4 of these. They're very blue anyway, so I don't need to, like, bring in 6. I guess Humbling Elder is not going to be the most effective, because they don't have a lot of attack. They don't have a lot of creatures at all, but I think it's probably fine. This hand seems decent enough. They go for a Brainstorm. We're going to go for a Fairy Seer. Island is good. Moon Circuit Hacker is also good, I think. I think I put those in the wrong order. I should have done the Moon Circuit Hacker in case I want to use it next turn, which I might not, but I should have had the option. I certainly don't need an extra land this turn. They suplex, so it won't matter. But we'll play an Island and pass. Cycle Lorien in the upkeep. For a Fjord, play Island, play a Humbling Elder. I can dispel a counterspell and then we get a Ninja off if we want to do that. I think we Moon Circuit Hacker here because then I can hold up Spell Stutter or Dispel. Although Spell Stutter's not going to counter a lot anyway. Like, it's going to counter a Bolt, but then they're going to have the counterspell backup. I think I'm going to go for the Ninja actually, just so that later, if I draw a land, I can have a turn where I Moon Circuit with Spell Stutter and Dispel backup, as opposed to having the Ninja, and 5 mana is going to be too much for that. Although, obviously, if we knew we were getting counterspell, maybe that changes things, but again, they could still Bolt and counterspell backup, so I think this is probably fine. Play an Island, they go for the Scred. So I could Dispel. I think it's fine, though. And then we Humbling Elder, and if they want to counter that, that's fine, but they didn't before. They certainly might want to now, though. They let it go. Counterspell. Hit him with the Hacker. Island would be really nice. We don't get an Island. Now I kind of want a Fairies here to try to find an Island and then of one mind, but of course they definitely have Counterspell mana, I think. They might just be bluffing. Is one Counterspell really going to keep our guy alive? Probably not. I think we're going to go for the Seer here. I still have a counterspell, I have a dispel, but yeah. Do I want to dispel this? Sure. They could have dispel or spell pierce of their own. If not, we don't get to have one mind, but at least we can set up Hydroblast, Fairy Miscreant. Miscreant's a no good. Hydroblast is nice as a 1-drop, but I just don't think we need that. I think we're looking for lands. Put it on the bottom. Obviously, they could just wipe the board here, but even if I get a land and then I can hold up like a counterspell Sprite, that's pretty good. They play the Fjord we knew about. And there's a Terror. I guess if they just Terror, that's pretty good. Would be nice to have a counterspell for that. Okay, but we can play an of one mind for a mana. They go for a counterspell, so I could Spell Stutter or counterspell here. Spell Stutter leaves all of our creatures vulnerable. I do have 2 more creatures in hand. I think it's worth fighting over. Counter the counterspell. Then I draw 2. Oh, and they concede. All right. I think we did all right there. All right, this hand is decent. I'm by no means a mono blue Fairies expert, but I assume you generally want a 1-drop, probably a Fairy, and a Ninja's ideal, but I assume a hand with like Fairies here that can scry to hopefully find one. Spell Stutter Sprite has some nice interaction, and also of one mind eventually, as some card draw can now be pretty decent. They play a Shadow Landscape. Not exactly sure what this indicates. It could be like Mardu Synth or something. Dispel and Mutagenic. I think Mutagenic can go to the bottom. Dispel... It's probably going to be removal. Dispel's decent, but we are looking for a human, specifically a ninja ideally. And we do have a counterspell. I think we'll get rid of it. Lembas, Vault of Whispers. Yeah, looks like Mardu Synth, probably. We top deck the Ninja. Feels like just playing Ninja the Deep Hours here is a little risky, because it gets Tithing Blade, a lot of different things. I think we just swing and pass with Spell Stutter up and Gale Blade. We'll get a Lembas off the Spell Stutter. That's decent value. They already have a Lembas, but still looks pretty guaranteed because they don't have a way to kill this or anything. Dross Forge Bridge. Another Ninja. Okay, so if I Ninja Spell Stutter here, I can't hold up a counterspell unless I draw like my one Dispel with the Ninja, my one other Dispel. But I could then also of one mind just to draw a bunch, so even if they wipe our creatures, we get a lot of value out of it. Plus, we don't have a lot else that we're like going to at this point, so I think this is worthwhile. Draw a card. That's good. I could hold up a Gale Blade in case they wipe the kill these two creatures, and then I can flash that in and Ninja. That's actually not a terrible idea, just because I'm imagining like Tithing Blade, Galvanic Blast. I think we will pass. We can probably fit the of one mind in at some point, especially if we have like Gale Blade into Ninja. Although Refurb makes me want to discard this island. I guess we will, but if we don't hit another island, like I would like to hit a land drop next turn, so it's a little greedy. There's the Bolt, but here's a Gale Blade. We do find an island. Alright, so we can swing, pick up whatever they don't block the Fairy Seer, draw a card, trade for that. Another of one mind. I could Fairy Seer and then get one of one mind off, or I could just hold up the Spell Stutter, which they know about, but it can counter like one Bolt. They don't have a Bolt here already. In fact, they probably didn't have a one drop at all. They could have like a Thraben Spectre or like a Glint Hawk I could counter. But if they have a Tithing Blade, I guess I can play around that with the Gale Blade. Yeah, I think we pass. We are potentially passing up a lot of value. Like Fairy Seer into of one mind is 4 cards to try to find another Ninja too, and then I could use it with the Fairy Seer, so there's a Wildfire. That's fine. And there's a Skyfisher. Can't do anything about that. Alright, well, Ninja survived. Oh, actually, I assume it's not going to die here, so I'll play the Gale Blade. Fairy Miscreant. Let's go for a Seer into an of one mind. Another Miscreant. And a Hacker. I guess those are both pretty good. Draw off the of one mind. Draw some more off the of one mind. Play an island. Just hold up Spell Stutter for 2. They have a Lembas and one unknown. So I guess we try to counter the Lembas, and then hopefully we can find a Snap, Mutagenic Growth, Humbling Elder, any of which could make it so we can attack past the Skyfisher. We're going to go for this. If they have a removal spell on a fairy, then they get to get it through, but looks like they just have a second Lembas. Scry at the top, thinking probably, Synth, okay. Cleansing Wildfire. They have the land. Okay. Well, they get to Cleanse Wildfire, but they have just 1 card in hand. We get to Fairy Seer into Miscreant to draw, so 3 cards to find any of those combat tricks, or we just perfectly draw the Snap. Easy. Alright, Fairy Seer, Scry 2, another Ninja's pretty good, although I'm not sure that's even necessary. Yeah, actually, let's just get rid of it. Snap, untap these, swing in, Moon Circuit back a Spell Stutter, draw a couple cards, Mutagenic's nice, play an island, and I guess we'll play out 2 Miscreants so that we can still play the Spell Stutter after that. Or just an actual counterspell if we prefer. I think we just let the Skyfisher resolve then. Just because if they have like they're not going to be playing a Breath Weapon main deck. That'd be crazy in this deck. And that does give a lot of value with the Synth. I think we just go for the Spell Stutter. They Fanatical Offering the Synth. Glint Hawk off the top, okay. Lembas. Currently, they can block a 2-power creature and they take 8, but if they have an untapped land, they can at least crack the Lembas. Or if they have another Glint Hawk, they would die to the Mutagenic, or like a Bolt or something. There is the land, okay. So they can survive here, unless I get like a Snap, which we don't. Crack Lembas, and yeah, they're taking 8, so Mutagenic's not going to kill them. I don't think I need to save this. I'll just save it for like a removal spell or something. We'll loot. Nice draw. Draw 2. More counterspells would be ideal. There's 1. Alright, we take that game down. We get a Nulls and or Hydroblasts. Mutagenic does seem good, though. They play Skyfishes and Glint Hawks, which we need to win combat. Although Humbling Elder, keeps our guys alive, but isn't as good. Snap. Don't love giving them an extra trigger unless we're as far ahead as we were just there. I think 4 Nulls, maybe 2 Hydroblasts is decent enough. I guess cutting off one mind feels weird. I could leave those in and just not play the Hydroblasts at all, but they still seem good. I think we'll try that. Alright, this one is decent. We'll play out a Miscreant to buff up the Spell Stutter for next turn. They got a Tithing Blade. Yeah, that is a reason to have just held up the Gale Blade Kind of forgot about the tithing. I still don't know if it was terrible, but like, we don't even have a ninja, so it's not the end of the world that we lost our creature right away, obviously, but losing the fairy is a bit of a bummer. Skyfisher picks up tithing. There's a mountain. I'm just gonna pass. Don't really want to spell stutter when they have a tithing blade, unless they go for like a synth, which I could counter a 1-drop. It's not gonna be great. I kind of just want to of one mind here. It's usually a bad sign when you're casting this for 3 mana. And I don't love it now, but I think it's my best bet. Now I can at least Fairy Seer Spell Stutter for 2 to blank a Tithing Blade and also have like a Gale Blade up. Glint Hawk for a land? Interesting. They play a bridge, so we know they have a Vault of Whispers and a Tithing Blade in hand. I guess they're trying to go on the offensive. Fairy Seer, all the ninjas. Okay, I don't think we need another Ninja the Deep Hours. To be honest, Ninja Hacker's really good, but it's hard for us to even get through their guys right now. Skyfishers are really tough. I probably should have brought in Bind the Monster. I kind of forgot how difficult it is to get through Skyfishers with this deck, but that's okay. There's a Tithing Blade. We'll Spell Stutter it. They do have the Bolt, though. So I could Gale Blade to lose that instead of the Fairy Seer, which has an ETB in case the ninja gets through, and also just is better to have alive for our Spell Stutter sprite. So I think I will lose that instead. They play a bridge, they have a Vault of Whispers. Okay, so they attack with the Glint Hawk, or the Skyfisher, whatever. That means I can Strix down this. Oh, another Strix is nice. Strix the Glint Hawk, get in with a ninja. Draw a card, counterspell. We're going to hold that up. Cleansing Wildfire. It's not the best thing ever, but it kind of feels like keeping their mana low. It cycles, like, just keep them off some stuff could be good. Well, obviously Glint Hawk would have been a better thing to keep them off of. Pick up Tithing Blade. We know they have the land for it. So they replay, get rid of the Strix. If they attack for 4, I get to Strix this Glint Hawk and get in for another 2, so I would love for them to do that. And they almost do, but it looks like they smartly leave 2 back this time. Fairy Seer, Island. I guess we'll keep the other Seer? Sure. Pass the turn. We'll counter a Cleansing Wildfire. They swing for 4. I could trade. I mean, either way, I'm going to Strix this down and attack with the Ninja. We're taking a good amount of damage. We have a Fairy Seer off the top. So if we could find a Ninja, using that on the Spell Stutter would be nice. But I kind of think we want to take advantage of like this. Knowing there's no tricks, we'll do it. Fairy Seer, see what's up. Double Island, get rid of those for sure. Strix to tap down the Skyfisher. Swing with the Ninja, draw a card. A Null could be good. If not, we can Strix it away. They're going to keep attacking? That's crazy. What if I have another Strix? Tap down your Skyfisher. Alright, we'll just take it this time. Let's loot in the main phase here. Get rid of an island. We're just going to pass. They could have flipped this Tithing Blade, so it feels like they have something at instant speed. They're just not sure if they want to cast it, like a Pyroblast or something. We're going to annul that for sure. Hey, they did get a Pyroblast. That's exactly what I thought they had. I'm a genius. Okay, they get a bridge. That's not the worst. We do need to draw something, though. And I don't want to trade this Strix, which is currently drawing us out of our flood. I don't want to trade that yet, but we might have to pretty soon. I mean, just like a Humbling Elder would be really good, because then we can attack with everything. Elder this, and if they block here, then I can... I guess I don't have a Ninja, so I get in for 2. That's not great. It's still not bad, because it would allow me to eat the Glint Hawk, so I would still take it, but... Alright, we do get the Elder. Let's activate this. Okay, we also get the Moonstruck Hacker. So I could attack. They block here, and I get to Elder, keep this alive, Moonstruck Hack, the Strix, so that I can get in again next turn. Yeah, I think that's worthwhile. I mean, we're lowish on life for sure, but ideally we can get this decent value and then like force them to hold back. I don't know. Draw a card, it's an island. Hold that for the Strix or like a refurb. We're not going to use the Strix until next turn to tap. They sack their synth. Core Skyfisher off the top's pretty good. And there's the refurb. Okay, well, they just hit all the right cards they wanted. Maybe we should have held back and just gone for the Humbling Elder to eat the Glint Hawk here. Felt like that wasn't a winning strategy, but what do I know? They return to Tithing Blade. We can counter that. But now we just only have... Like, we might just die to Flyers. But I guess I can tap the Skyfisher, attack with everything else. Well, attack with these guys. And if they want to trade 2, then we don't die to a Flyer. Or if they want to let a Ninja in, then we can maybe do something. I don't know. Not a great spot either way. Yep, they trade here. We hit a Mutagenic Growth. That's not going to keep us alive. Block, block. We're dead. So Fairy Miscreant, I guess, keeps us alive. Block, block, block. We sacrifice this to the Tithing Blade. There's no way we get out of that. I feel like someone could have maybe won that game. Someone playing better would have won that game for sure. I do think Bind the Monster, I was not thinking properly about these. I think they're probably going to be very good. Not only is it like a Mutagenic or whatever that lets us attack in, or like a Humbling Elder, but it's also just something that taps their guy and makes it so that they can't attack us. So maybe we don't need those Hydroblasts after all. I'm not 100% sure. All right, round 3 here, and a lot of counter spells, which I like, but this one just has no way to ensure we hit more lands, which is kind of tough. This is also a one-lander. We do have the Ninja. We're on the play. I guess I flash out a Galeblade, and then I go for the Ninja. Sure, we'll keep this one. Get rid of, I think, the Lone Miscreant, which was the name of a band I was in high school. The Lone Miscreant. Flash out the Galeblade. Faeries here. Well, here's hoping we hit that land. Easy peasy. And we'll Faeries here to make sure we hit more lands, hopefully. Of One Mind and a Null. I kind of like both of those. Although if they do like Tithing Blade or kill one of these, well, if they Tithing Blade, I can make sure, I guess either way I have a 1-mana human or non-human, so I can of One Mind unless they kill both of these. So is it greedy to keep the Annul, though? Yeah, let's just keep the of One Mind. Like, because we want to hit that 3rd land for sure. Cleansing Wildfire, okay. Doesn't interact with our board, so not the worst thing for us to see. And I guess we just of One Mind first, because we have no way to manipulate our top decks. And if I get a Ninja, I could use that, but I probably just want to hold up Spell Stutter. I think that's probably better. Another Hacker. I kind of like Hacker over the Ninja anyway, actually, because the big Ninja, it's just so hard to fit into your curve. 2 drops in my 1-drop deck. It's crazy. Galvanic Blast the Hacker. I think that's fine because I just have another Hacker. I'd rather counter like their Lembas or Skyfisher or whatever. And if they have nothing, then I think I just Galeblade. They could have like a Breath Weapon. I'm not going to also throw out a Humbling Elder, I don't think, just in case they do have like a board wipe. We are going to Hacker this Seer though. And if they have a Breath Weapon, I can't counter it, but I could just like crack the Galeblade. It's not the end of the world. If they have a Blast, I could Spell Stutter that. Then they're free to do whatever they want, which I don't love. But then I have a Bind the Monster for if they get a creature. Plus this draws us a card. I think it's fine. Mutagenic's decent, honestly. Could make something survive. A Galvanic Blast that doesn't have Metalcraft, perhaps. There's a Tithing Blade. Sack a Galeblade. The blade is meant to be. Glinthawk's annoying. And if they have another untapped black source, they can replay the Tithing Blade. That'd be annoying too, but they don't. Just a Glinthawk. Okay. I can bind a Glinthawk and then Mutagenic the guy that gets blocked. Or actually, if they block here, I can Humbling Elder. That's even better. And we have a Strix. Okay, we have a lot of answers. So, Bind the Monster is persistent though. Like, Strix is only a one-time use, so I think we just want to bind first. We'll take 2, oh no. And we get to attack. Although Humbling Elder doesn't let me hold up Spell Stutter. Okay, well, they forced me to do the Mutagenic regardless, but that's kind of what I wanted anyway, so that I can hold up Spell Stutter Sprite for the Tithing Blade. Loot off the Hacker, another Strix. I kind of think we just keep all these Strixes, get rid of the Fairy Seer. We just keep a bunch of ways to get through their attackers. Seems good to me. And I probably Spell Stutter the Tithing Blade so they don't have something to pick up. Crazy that they use their white mana for this. They might just have another white mana, but like, now I know that they wouldn't have like a Glinthawk and a Skyfisher. We're definitely going to just do this. Like, theoretically, if they had left up their white mana, they could, and if they have a Skyfisher, they could Skyfisher back the Glinthawk and then play the Glinthawk. They have a Synth. Okay, I will say, like, Bind the Monster, I realize, oh, they got a cast down and black mana was what they left up, so that's pretty perfect for them. Pretty annoying, but whatever. I did realize that Bind the Monster is kind of annoying against a Glinthawk because, or not Glinthawk, but Skyfisher, they can just pick up the Glinthawk again. So maybe my initial inclination was right, that like, they're not worth it, but it seems okay here, to be honest. So I think we just passed with everything up. Really wish we had another Ninja. I did loot one away earlier, so maybe that was my bad, but they were so expensive. Fanatical Offering, we'll dispel that. They're sacking the Glinthawk, so at least they don't have that trick now, the Skyfisher. And they have a Pyroblast, so be it. You gotta make something happen. Alright, Skyfisher's good, but we do get to Strix it. I think I just flash out a Humbling Elder to deal more damage. They flip up a Lembas, that doesn't matter. Just because we have 2 Strixes, that, like, I don't really need this for the combat. Oh, and Mutagenic Growth, that makes it so this is a 2-turn clock, which is pretty nice. Swing for 3. And the next turn I can swing for 6. They replay Synth, see what they get. It's a mountain, perfect. They can crack that. That's a creature. Galvanic Blast. Okay, so they don't actually have Metalcraft, so I could keep a guy alive. Galvanic on the Strix. So I'm going to play a Strix, tap this. Attack, they block. So I'm not going to have quite lethal, even if I keep this alive. But I think it makes sense to do that rather than saving the Mutagenic for 2 damage. Unless I top deck like another Bind the Monster or something, like another removal spell, which I would have had lethal then. And they get a Tithing Blade. Well, we'll certainly sack the Elder. Does make of One Mind worse, but I think just having the flyers is better. so that the samurai is kind of irrelevant. And we get an island, tap down the Skyfisher. I could play the island and then I can activate Strix, but obviously I have nothing to discard, so I just mill one. It's probably better to hold just in case they get a refurb. If I get another island, then it's just the same to like play it then and then activate to like maybe find a 1-drop. They map onto the samurai, bolt on top, which they leave there. They do need to find a way to kill 2 of these creatures or block 2. Samurai attacks for 3. I'll take it. They're just gonna pass. Counterspell's pretty good. So even if they have 2 removal spells now, Counterspell keeps me alive because they block. Yeah, I think so. Cast down. That does not win them the game. So I'm just going to let that resolve. And then if they have another removal spell, I know they have no cards and I can Counterspell then. But all right, we ended up getting there in the end. All right, on the play here, we have double Miscreant. We also have a Moonscircuit Hacker. It's a 1-lander, but this hand's really, really good, it feels like. So we're going to give it a try. If I can hit the second land naturally, then I can like Miscreant turn 1, which is what I'm doing regardless, but Miscreant into Miscreant, Moonscircuit, and then we're just drawing a million cards. But if I don't, I have to choose between Hacker and Miscreant. Really depends on what we're up against. And if they just kill our Miscreant, obviously we're in a bad spot for a bunch of reasons. Our second Miscreant's bad, our Hacker doesn't happen right away, and there's the Galvanic. Yep, now I'm just going to hold up Galeblade to flash that in. That's why this hand is really risky. It's really high upside if we don't get killed right away, and then really, really bad if we do. Dross Forge Bridge. So their affinity or their artifact mono Rakdos Madness, but another Galvanic Blast. Really annoying. We do hit another Fairy Miscreant, so maybe we can get some card draw off of this if they stop hitting removal. Black Mage's Rod. Yeah, definitely looks like affinity to me. Great Furnace of 1 mind. We're gonna play a Miscreant. We don't hit the land drop. We have so much card draw, we have counters, like we have a lot of really good stuff in our hand. I can even snap back this hero token, but they sack the Black Mage's Rod. Give me an island. Oh, they have a refurb, that's annoying. I think I discard a counterspell, honestly. Give me an island. Map onto the refurb. Well, that is annoying, because now it blocks these and doesn't trade. We still don't get an island, so now I can't Moonscircuit Hacker without throwing one of these away. Which I guess I do, because I'm still missing land drops. But like, I would have snapped this then to make it lose the counter. We do hit the island finally. I mean, we can of 1 mind for 1 mana if these both survive. Not to mention snap, like, we could be in an okay spot. Pact Altair. Okay, it looks like they're just Rakdos then. They just pass. So let's snap the hero token. I could snap the Pact Altair, but I'm not going to counter that. I think we just go with the hero. Then of 1 mind. Still only the 1 land. I want to Strix this, but then they're just going to block here. I'm just going to have 1 mind again and hope we hit the island. We do not. Well, this is unusual. 18 cards and only 2 islands. Another Pact-All, perfect. Would have loved to counterspell up for that, but I guess we got greedy trying to hit that 3rd land, and we will continue to do so. Okay, there it is. So let's see. I could snap back the refurb, and then I could ninja the Miscreant. If we're not holding up counterspells, we're kind of losing, though. I think we need to start holding up counterspells, which probably means discarding a ninja here. Spell Bomb, it pings us for 2, which is annoying, but obviously I don't care about a Spell Bomb. Otherwise, land pings us for 2, snap a Pact Altair, which they can sacrifice if they want, but they couldn't replay it, so they do. Trigger that. Island, Strix, taps down the Pact All, attack with the Hacker. I'll just trade it for the refurb. And then pass, crack their Spell Bomb. There's another refurb, we're going to counter that. Of course, they have plenty more mana to use on worse things, but Wellspring's not as bad since it doesn't block. Land, Insight, map onto the Terror for a Cart Clan Shaman. And if they hit this, we probably just die, so I feel like I have to chump with, I guess, a Miscreant. Hacker, hit for 2, Faeries here. I mean, what do I need? I guess another snap to get rid of this Terror. We've already used both of our snaps, so I don't know what I can possibly do, but we're going to counter this Terror. I guess we jump here. Loot, discard an island, play a Strix, flashback Eviscerator's Insight. I'm going to double spell stutter that, I suppose. Feels like they don't have a lot else going on, and I kind of want to get these on the field anyway. Play a Swamp. Do we jump with the Strix? I guess I want to keep this spell stutter around so that it can counter a 2-drop. Kind of tough. Attack with everything. I mean, surprisingly, it feels like things are going okay. Like, I think they have 4 lands in hand or something. Not even artifact lands, it feels like. These were in the wrong order, as always. There's a Humbling Elder. I guess that's really annoying. These were in the wrong order. I just forgot to place them correctly. And I obviously shouldn't have any faith that they will place them correctly. I guess we'll get rid of a miscreant. Draw an island. Pass the turn. Humbling Elder for sure. Do I want to chump for 2 though, or just take 2? I guess I could just be holding a Galvanic Blast and like something else. Kind of think I just chump, even though it's only 2 this turn. I don't know. They play a land and pass. Another Spell Stutter. Alright, we're going to swing with the team. We're going to place these triggers correctly this time. So draw. Although now I have an island, so it doesn't matter too much. And we get a counterspell. Okay. We might actually be able to win this one. I can chump with a Spell Stutter, and then I have Spell Stutter and Counterspell for interaction. They might also... They'll probably wait one more turn, but they're probably going to leave this back starting in a bit. But I would assume it's going to be this turn when they drop below 10. They have Toxin Analysis. Well, that draws them a card and gains them some life, and might as well get some Spell Stutter value. So we're going to counter that. I think I'm just going to counter a Wellspring. It triggers this and draws them more cards. And again, clearly they've been mostly out of stuff to do. Mutagenic. It's a 4/5. I think I just swing with these. Draw Ninja. I guess I could want to ninjutsu this in for the Spell Stutter. So let's draw and discard. We get another Spell Stutter. I don't need this Mutagenic. Let's do this for the Spell Stutter. So now we have 2. I guess I could have waited since I actually ended up with the second one, but like I could wait until next turn, but honestly, maybe there's 2 things I want to counter here or whatever. They play a land. Yep, they're going to leave it back now. They're going to block. They take 5. Go down to 4. I think that's fine. Let's just leave these both in hand. Swing with the team. They get to eat a Ninja the Deep Hours. Dispels, nice. And I think we just got them, if I can counter the last 2 things, unless they get something that's like more than a 4-drop. Mycosynth Wellspring, that's an interesting include. It's like Acre Wellspring, but it only searches for a basic land. And a Blood Fountain. So they have just been sandbagging triggers for the Pact Altair, it looks like. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I won that game. That is crazy. Certainly we get annuls and also hydros. Bind the monster doesn't matter against that guy. I mean, the attacking was relevant, but it's mostly the trigger that matters. Mutagenics we probably don't need. Snap is like the only way to counter it once it gets down, so I think we need to keep those in, even though I don't love them. Cut a couple Humbling Elders. The Dispels are relevant. Maybe we don't need this many Blue Blasts. They're gonna be good, though. I don't know. I guess I don't need Gale Blades that much, right? Maybe cut those. I don't want to mess with my creature count too much. I mean, I'm cutting 4 creatures. That's a good amount, but it's not like I'm cutting 15 or anything. Alright. I mean, we're on the draw. This is just a whole bunch of counter spells, basically. But seems okay. Not a bad draw. Could throw that out just in case I get a Ninja or enough One Mind. Currently, it doesn't look amazing in my hand for other reasons, so I think we do. So we top deck a Moonscircuit Hacker. It's pretty nice here. Although I'm not sure I'd use it this turn, just because we don't get to hold up much then. But attack for 1 and pass. Black Mage's Rod. I could counter that, but I feel like just snapping the token is pretty close to it being gone. Not 100%, obviously. Let's just draw here. There's the Ninja. It's of the Deep Hours, though, which means I don't actually get to hold up a counterspell if I go for it, except for Blue Blast, which I guess can survive their one, like a Galvanic Blast or something, but then they could land a Pact Altair, and I can't do anything about it, so I don't think we do that yet. Refurb, I guess we counter that. Another one. Yup. Discard an island. Play a Swamp and a Quark Clan Shaman. I could counter the Shaman. Fortunately not with the Spell Stutter. They only have 2 cards left. I mean, I don't care too much about it, but it does stop the Ninja, and it lets them sack the Wellspring. I guess we will. And they have a Spell Bomb, sure. Yeah, 1 card left. Moonscircuit Hacker. Alright, I mean, we attack. They obviously just block, but then we get to Spell Stutter and Hacker next turn. They don't block. Interesting. I guess I'll Hacker. Draw a card. Snap's decent. I feel like you would block there, because then I get a Ninja down. And then I have a Humbling Elder to block with the Ninja next turn, but so be it. They draw 3, Spell Stutter. I don't have any Faeries, so can't counter that. Can really only counter 1-drops, so Galvanic Blast or Blood Fountain or something here. Equip up the Black Mage's Rod. That's actually really annoying. If I'd played the Ninja the Deep Hours, like, because this is going to have 3 power now, so even if I shrink it with the Humbling Elder, then the Hacker's going to die and trade for it. So I could snap this, but obviously then they get another refurb trigger. I could just let these trade. I think that's the idea then. I just cast the Humbling Elder, and like if they want to trade with either of them, they get 2, but then I can get another Ninja down. Or if I just had held on, I could have 2 Humbling Elders. I guess if they block this one now, I can Humbling Elder it and keep it alive. But they block here. I'm going to Ninja. I mean, if I don't hit a land, I can't hold up Spell Stutter, but Spell Stutter's not countering a lot anyway. Yep, we'll pass. Now we have an actual counter spell, so I'll want to hold it up if I can. There's the Blood Fountain. I mean, they're not going to cast that if I had the spell stutter up, obviously. So maybe holding that up could have been better, but the ninja's pretty good. If they have another untapped land, they can crack the Blood Fountain and get back 2 refurbs, play one of them now. And that's all pretty good for them. That is the plan. I think I'm just getting rid of Snap. The Humbling Elders have got the refurbs covered, and ideally I'll just hold up Counterspell for Compact Altair. Shrink this. Eat that. Then again, they're going to play a refurb. And I could counter that, or I could just let it go. I think I'd probably let it go. Discard a Spell Stutter. Another one. Pactol is such a problem. These guys are problematic too, though. I don't really want to discard another one of these. They have a Krark-Clan Shaman, which generally I don't care too much about, but is pretty good since I have these 2 guys here. Fair enough. They got me good. And obviously I could have Spell Stuttered that, which would have been nice. And they have a Fanatical Offering for the Krark. Pretty annoying. And they just run out the Pactol, which I don't have a counterspell for anymore. Equip up the Black Mage's Rod. God, that's so annoying. Because I was going to Spell Stutter and then Humbling Elder and block and eat this guy, but now the Black Mage's Rod makes it so I can't do that. I could still just trade, but that's not very good. I can't really afford to take this every turn, though, so I guess I do just block. This one feels like a tough position to come back from. Like, we're at a high life total, but we just don't have anything in our hand. There's a Wellspring. There's an Offering, which we're going to Dispel. Spell Bomb. Crack that. And Blood Fountain, which means everything just happens again. Pact Altair on top. Alright, they got us. Let's just try to go faster, I guess. I feel like the Hydras are not as effective. They have a lot more black spells that I'm scared of. So honestly, like, Growth and Of One Mind over these might be better. Especially on the play, I guess? I don't know. This is the type of hand, kind of like what I kept before. It was just all slow, and it was reactive, and we're trying to be proactive. I guess this has a 1-drop, so it's more proactive, and we'll keep it. But I don't really want to go to 5, is the only reason. Alright, Miscreant and pass. Let's see if this Miscreant can deal 20 damage. Nope, it can't. Alright, next game. We even get the Ninja right away. It's annoying. They got nothing on turn 2. We get a null. Pass. Alright, that's something. Although if I flash it in, it just gets bolted probably. Or blasted. There's a Wellspring. It's a funny card. I don't really want to counter it, but it feels like they might be missing a land, in which case it could be relevant. They're holding priority. I would love for them to cast a 1-drop here. Looks like no. We're going to cast a Spell Stutter and hope it survives. It does. Although we didn't hit a land, so unless we get one here, we're not going to be able to hold up Counterspell, but we're going to go for the Ninja. It does connect as well. And we hit the island. Oh my god. That's all perfect. Now we'll pass priority to pass the turn to them. I'll let a Wellspring go at this point. I will counterspell an Eviscerator's Insight, I think. They already have 5 cards in hand. Maybe I should have just flashed out the Spell Stutter so I can, like, Of One Mind. Moon Circuit Hacker. Well, we'll draw 1. If I had flashed that out, I could also then Moon Circuit Hacker. Well, we can hold up double Counterspell now, plus Spell Stutter. They go for a Blood Fountain. Feels like this is bait, because they usually don't just run out of 1-drop when I have Spell Stutter mana available. But we have a counterspell for the backup, so it looks like we're going to be okay. And they just concede there. I mean, we were in a decent spot, but, like, maybe they just had nothing in hand. But, alright, we take that match down. Alright, this hand looks decent, so let's give it a go. Start with the Miscreant, and then I can just hold up Spell Stutter and Counterspell turn 2. Ancient Den into a Glint Hawk right away. I mean, I understand they're trying to prevent a Ninja. I respect that. It is kind of crazy. Another Miscreant. Well, I'm not attacking. I'm going to hold up the Spell Setter, which can counter just about anything they can play now. And if they don't play anything, then that's fine too. Great Furnace. Okay, now we get a Ninja. Gonna Miscreant though, draw a card. If they want to blast here, I assume this is Boros Synth or maybe Mardu. Another Spell Stutter. Ancient Den, they play an Inspector. I think we'll Spell Stutter. Even if they kill this, I can still get the Novice Inspector countered, and that's just pretty decent value. And there's not much else they can play for just a red mana that I really care about at the moment. They do have the Bolt, but that's still going to get countered. So if anything, I'm actually happy they're killing a Spell Stutter, like, just when it's not super relevant at that moment. We do get a Strix, which is nice. I was hoping for that. We would be tapping out of our counter spells if I Strix and then go for a Ninja. But without lands to develop more, it feels like that's going to be the case for a little while, so I might as well just go for it, because this draws me a card now, then it lets me draw a card with the Miscreant next turn. The Ninja can still attack it unless they get like a Skyfisher, and so that can be another card I could draw, or at least trading for the Glint Hawk, like a lot of good stuff. And another Miscreant, okay. Not bad either. They blast the Ninja, and Garrison, but it looks like nothing with the white mana. Fairy Seer. Alright, let's play a Miscreant. Humbling Elder. Alright, we're just going to pass. Hold up our counterspell. Enter Spell Stutter, then I can Miscreant again, or I could like Humbling Elder of One Mind, hopefully actually hit our islands. We're in a very good spot, but we could use more lands for sure. They play a Great Furnace and a Lembas. I could counter the Lembas, or I could maybe hold up my counterspell for like the Skyfisher that's going to come behind it. I think that's probably better. Like, countering the Lembas is good because the Skyfisher doesn't have much useful to pick up, but if it picks up a land, it's still just now 2 creatures I have to get by, which is really annoying. Alright, I think we'll attack, go for a Humbling Elder and a Moon Circuit Hacker here. They block the Miscreant. I have another Miscreant. I don't even need that Miscreant, actually. I don't have to Humbling Elder now. I think I just Hacker the Strix, and then I just let that die, I think. They have a Bolt. I don't have another Ninja, so I have to Spell Stutter to keep that around. I think I will, although it means I tap out of like a counterspell for a Skyfish or whatever. But we draw a card. We don't get an island. A lot of great utility in hand, but they do get a Skyfisher off, which makes things very difficult. Replay the Lembas. Great Furnace. Alright, I'm gonna of one mind, and I really would like to hit an island. We do. A lot of counterspells. So I think, let's see, I could Strix here, tap the Skyfisher. I can attack with everything, or maybe just the Hacker. They maybe block. I think I wait a turn for this. I think let's just Fairy Seer. Try to set up another land because we have so many cards here. Dispel seems good too. Let's keep that in an island and then hold up a counterspell here. Try not to counter anything that's not like a flyer. Lembas is fine. We're going to get an island. So I think this turn we're going to Strix, tap this, attack with everything. So I think I'm going to just Spell Stutter for some more damage. We already have plenty of counterspells in hand is my thought process. Tap down the Skyfisher and attack with everybody. Then depending on what they block, I might Humbling Elder, but I might not. They blast the Sprite. That's fine. So then they're going to block the other Sprite to keep us away from those. But then the Hacker gets in. I think that's fine. Because I could just hold up 2 counterspells here. We hit for 4. I do kind of like having a Sprite around, though. I guess we'll go for the Elder and just play the Miscreant. And then we have just 1 counterspell up for this turn. But obviously I was hoping they'd block the Moon Circuit Hacker, but I didn't think that was actually very likely. We also get to loot, though I kind of like all the cards. Oh, we knew there was a Dispel. They've already used 2 Galvanics, 2 Lightning Bolts. They could very easily have a bunch more, though. I kind of think all the counterspells are just better. We have a good amount of mana now. I should have probably not looted that away because I forgot that it was on top and I did want it. And if we played Miscreant first, we could have looted away an island, which would have been better. But, oh well. Synthesizer is pretty good, but I think we let that go. Just try to counter the flyers. Lembas, sure. Journey to Nowhere. I mean, I guess the worst creature for them to take would be the Strix, honestly. I'm not sure that's what they're going to pick. They could take the Spell Stutter. They could take the Hacker. I think that's fine, though. If I counter this and they just play like a Skyfisher, it's kind of annoying. Yeah, Sprite's fine. Like, the Strix is what I want because it's going to let me loot a bunch. Let's go for a Seer. We're looking for... Fairy Miscreant's just kind of free. So we'll keep that. We'll keep Ninja. But I am looking for like Mutagenic and Humbling Elders, I suppose. They crack a Lembas. Play a Mountain. Crack a Synth for Glint Hawk. So we're going to counter that guy. Counter that. We know the top cards of our deck, so I'm not going to loot here. Fairy Miscreant into a Ninja the Deep Hours, which we're just going to hold for a while. We need to get like another Harrier Strix or a Snap or something first, I think. They go for Kraken Lembas. Probably keep the other one to pick up with the Skyfisher if they can ever resolve one. Play a bridge. Here we don't know the top of our deck, so we're going to loot. Moon Circuit Hacker. I mean, 2 ninjas is pretty good, but the counterspells are pretty good too. I think we'll get rid of the Hacker. Now we have an island to loot away, though. Raven Inspector's decent, but I don't think it's worth a counterspell. Barbed Batterfist. That's just a 3/1 creature. That's fine. Creatures on the ground I'm not as worried about. Obviously, we have a couple creatures on the ground as well. Oh, I forgot to loot. That's really annoying. Oops. We're going to pass. Could have looted twice. I did not. There's a Skyfisher that's going to eat a counterspell. Let's remember to loot this time. Discard an island. We even get a Gale Blade. I mean, that's just free real estate because we can sack it later if we want. Humbling Elder. Okay, I mean, they have a lot of blockers at this point. Only 2 flyers, so if I attack in with all my flyers, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I get to Ninja one of them, and Elder to keep the other guy alive. Might as well also attack with the Hacker here that I already have on the battlefield. I think now is the time. Attack with everybody but the Elder, because the Elder just gets eaten by the Samurai for no good reason. I think if the Strix goes unblocked, that's the best one to pick up, because it lets us get in easier next turn. If it does get blocked, I'd probably try to protect it with the Elder. They block these. So I have 2 Miscreants unblocked, so I can pick up a Miscreant and then draw another card from that Miscreant. So I think that's what we do. Pick up this guy. And then, I mean, the looting from the Strix is still really good, so I think we save the Strix. So we get in for 6 damage, draw a card, Draw another card with the Miscreant. I think that was worthwhile, and I think looks like we can actually break through a little bit. Mutagenic Growth would have been nice, obviously, a turn, like this turn, but still a nice one for next turn. And a Strix for next turn. Okay, so then we get to tap one of these and then eat the other one. Get in for 1,000,000 damage, seems good. Dawnbringer Cleric just blocks. Does gain them life. It's probably their top deck though, unless they've been sandbagging something. So if I counter it, they're at 10. Probably can't quite kill them this turn. This does block on the ground nicely, because I want to get in with the Ninja to trade for like this, and then we can get in with the Elders. I think we counter. If they've been sandbagging a Glinthawk or Skyfisher, good for them. Bojuka Bog, okay, don't care about that. Perfect. Fairy Seer. Okay. If we really get something good, we could loot to draw it with the Strix, so we're definitely going to play this first. I mean, Everyone Mind is decent. Let's just keep that. Not good enough to, like, loot and then cast it, but that's okay. We're going to Strix the Glinthawk, because the Skyfisher can still just get eaten by the Mutagenic. Attack with everybody but the Elders. Yep, seems good. Trade here and try to eat the Harrier Strix, which we're gonna pump. So we hit them for 5. Eat this guy, trade for this. Oh, I guess if I loot, I discard the Everyone Mind. I could just crack the Galeblade to try to draw 2. I mean, we already have, they have 1 blocker in the air. They do have a Lembas, so they're at a virtual 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they could be a 1, 8 plus the Humbling Elders. So they block, and actually they're dead on board, so let's not sack the Galeblade. I can still just top deck the Everyone Mind next turn, play it, you know, I think that's fine. They'll probably get a Lembas here, perfect, to throw off our math, but what are you going to do? Scry to the bottom, and a Dawnbringer Cleric, pretty nice. Gains them 2 life. Alright, of One Mind, another Ninja, pretty good. We're just swinging with everybody this time. I guess the 2 Humbling Elders are the only things on the ground, so attacking with those didn't make a lot of sense. I should have held those back. Now that they had the Dawnbringer as 2 blockers. I was thinking it would have made sense before, but now it doesn't. We have 2 Strixes though, so yeah, we just get to pick up a Miscreant here. I don't care too much about the Strix. One of the Strix is dying. They're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So sack a Lembas, not quite dead. Yeah, I threw away both of those Elders for no reason. That was honestly a big mistake. They could be pretty relevant later, but hopefully not. We do draw a card here. We get to draw a card with the Miscreant. Of One Mind draws even more. Counterspell of some sort would be nice. Perfect. So they're at a virtual 5. Block this on the ground. They could 1 flyer, and then they're taking 6 in the air. I counterspell whatever they play here, and we should win. Not to mention we have another Hacker, so that's a little more damage, plus more card draw, so we should be good. Currently we're dealing them 6, so let's just pass priority. See what they got. Alright, we take game 1 there. Bit of a slog. Once again, we get like a nulls, and I think Bind the Monsters. Really helpful if they don't get the Skyfisher to like bounce their Glinthawk or whatever, but really need to be able to get past their guys. I think Dispels are good, but not sure they're as necessary. Like most of their instants are red, so Blasts are probably just better than Dispels here. But I feel like a Null is... I don't know. A Null is nice because their artifacts are annoying, but I guess the cards that we actually want to counter are not those. They're the flyers. Flyers and removal. So maybe we don't need a Null for this matchup, in which case removal, it's like Blue Blasts. Bind the Monster is probably better than a Snap, although I guess both of them are good ways to get through their guys. Gale Blades don't do as much. Hand looks decent. Play an Inspector. We get to Fairy Seer right away. Looking for another land, and yeah, I think a Counterspell is hard to pass up. They just Skyfisher. Should have attacked for 1 first. I could bind this, or I could Snap and then Ninja, but that doesn't do me much good unless I can actually like do something about it afterwards. I don't know. Like if I snap it, I need to be able to hold up Counterspell, which I could do here. I think Inspector's fine. So I could snap the Skyfisher, but then if I go for the Ninja, I don't have the mana to Counterspell the Skyfisher on the way down, and that's just a waste. I could bind it, but then if I go for the Ninja, I don't have the Counterspell to protect against the second Skyfisher. Of course, we have another Counterspell here. I think I do bind it now, but I don't go for the Ninja this turn, and I just hold up Counterspell. So they like if I bind this and then they just play another Skyfisher and then they have 2 going around, it's just so bad for us. Not to mention they could just have a Bolt here for the Ninja. We don't even get our card draw. Trying to just be patient here, but maybe that's not right. There's a Pyroblast for the Skyfisher, well, the Bind the Monster. That makes me think they don't have the Skyfisher, or they're forcing the Counterspell here and then they get to Skyfisher it back, and that's even better for them. I guess I could let this go and then snap the Skyfisher, and then I hold up Counterspell here and counter it. If they have another Pyroblast, that doesn't really work. I think I'm just going to try Counterspelling and hope that they don't have another answer. Yep, they did have the Skyfisher. It's exactly... it's so hard being in a perfect genius, but then not playing how I know I'm supposed to be playing. Like, just in case something happens. Also, they once again picked up the Inspector without dealing me damage. They're wasting damage, and it's pissing me off. Well, now we're just going to have to build up an enormous force, it feels like. I'm just going to run out of a hacker here and then of one mind, because I'm clearly going to need to draw a lot more cards, get a lot more creatures like we did last time to get past these guys I don't know. There's an Inspector. Inspector incapable of attacking. They swing for 2. Getting a little greedy. What if I have a Harrier Strix? Let's of one mind. There's a Hydroblast. Oh, we do have a Harrier Strix. Don't think I'm using it this turn. But let's go for a Fairy Miscreant. And then hold up our counter magic. They crack a clue. Crack another clue. And Thraben Inspector. Sure. Play an island, and we're just going to pass. We could snap a Skyfisher, Strix a Skyfisher, and then try to get in with a Ninja on a Fairy Seer. It's a lot of work just to draw a card. Might be worth it, but I think for now we're just kind of passing. Fairy Seer, get rid of an island, keep a Humbling Elder. They have cracked all their clues. Alright, let's go for a snap, see what happens. Snap exactly what you want against the Skyfisher, because it definitely doesn't let them get more value. Let's play a Harrier Strix, tap the Skyfisher, attack with the team, Ninja back a Seer, block the Moon Circuit Hacker, Ninja the Deep Hours, try to draw a card here. Looks like they got a Galvanic. We're gonna Hydroblast that. Which means we're tapped out for Counterspell for another removal spell or for a Skyfisher. It feels like you don't have enough mana to deal with these Skyfisher decks. They're how do you get through them? And a Cast into the Fire. Perfect. Amazing. Replay Fairies here. Humbling Elder, and I guess we'll keep a Spell Stutter. I don't know. I mean, we already beat them once, and we did end up winning against Mardusynth, but man, these Skyfisher decks seem very difficult to beat, which is, I assume, partially why Fairies has been a little bit less prevalent recently, is that there's a lot of Skyfisher decks, although none of them that are super prevalent either. Like Esper Affinity, a little bit, Boros, a little bit, Orzhov a tiny bit, but like, I don't know. It's kind of a nightmare, though. Glinthawk back in Ancient Den. We're drawing a Skyfisher. Not a Skyfisher, we're drawing a Spellstutter. Similar compound word like name. Play an Ancient Den. You're going to attack with a Skyfisher. I can Spellstutter and Humbling Elder and triple block. I think maybe we'll try that like next turn. I'll hold the Spellstutter in case they cast anything else relevant. Then we'll just activate Strix here, discard. I mean, Ninja's cool, but like, is it ever getting through? Not really. Oh, brother. Another Ninja. Perfect. Dawnbringer Cleric. That's fine. I mean, I probably should have tried to Spellstutter the Dawnbringer since I was going to cast this anyway. It feels like they'd probably have an answer, but I guess I'm already hoping they don't have an answer to this. So I kind of just, my mind blanked when they cast the Dawnbringer. I was like, oh, I don't really care about that card, but obviously if I was going to cast this anyway, I should have at least tried to counter it. And that could have also indicated if we were going to get absolutely screwed here. But we do eat the Skyfisher, which is nice. They have a Synth. I think we'll counter that. Maybe I should be holding that. I don't know. Seems okay, but still can't really attack in. Let's pass. I guess we'll activate Strix because I could like spell stutter this Inspector, and it's probably their top deck. It's probably their draw for turn, but we'll get rid of the Moon Circuit Hacker, crack the clue, Garrison, pass. We get an island, pass the turn back. There's a Glinthawk. That's what I would like to spell stutter. I mean, we're going to activate this just in case we can draw a counterspell, but alas, we do not. I mean, they're not getting value out of it, but it's still a good blocker. They're going to start attacking with this Skyfisher, it looks like. I'm going to Humbling Elder before blocking this time, which is probably the smarter thing to do, because if they have a Pyroblast to counter it, I don't want to lose two of these guys. But if they don't, it's going to go off, and then I get to block no matter what, even if they have like a bolt for one of these. Yep, there's the Pyroblast. So, smart about it that time. Spell stutter, a little late. But let's pass. There's a Lembas, we'll counter it. They have another Glinthawk. Oh boy. I guess they've been sandbagging Glinthawks for when they can resolve a Lembas, but then they can't. But they just have a million Glinthawks. Activate this. Another Spell Stutter. Blue Blast. I was thinking about attacking with all four of our flyers if they only had two Glinthawks and just going for two ninjas and hoping for the best. But not if there's three flyers and we only get one in. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I am gonna triple block here now. Take two off the Glinthawk. Didn't want to do that last turn because I didn't have any protection for if they had like a bolt, but now I did. Loot, discard on island. But now we're just going to die to Glinthawks attacking. Oh, I guess our non-Glinthawks. Block here. Activate Strix. Mutagenic Growth. I can almost not even afford to cast that. Counterspell. Attack with everybody here. I guess I block. I have to block because I'm going to Mutagenic Growth to kill one of these Glint Hawks. I guess saving the Strix for all that matters. I'm at 1 life. Miscreant, Ninja. I play both of those. Theoretically, I could survive, but I cannot. Yeah, it was just that weird. It just felt like I could never tap out once I bind the monster. So it's like good, but then I can never tap out. Otherwise, they could have a Skyfisher, and then that's really bad. Snap also just feels like useless until really late game. I don't know. I guess I could just try to do what I did game 1 and just go beyond. Just have too many blockers for them, rather than like caring about the bind the monster or something. I guess. I don't know. Even when we're winning, the match feels like hopeless in a weird way. This one's not going to work. That one's not going to work. Great way to go out. I mean, I guess Seer can maybe do something here, but we put back, like, what, Hacker, Spell Stutter. Maybe I should just keep both Spell Stutters, get rid of a Humbling Elder, but we're looking for lands. Nothing. If there's no lands, we're not keeping either. I think we don't need a second Seer either. I mean, if they just killed us, then that's not great, but they Rustveil Bridge. See, I could hold up a Spell Stutter this turn to counter, like, a flyer. I feel like then I'm not doing anything. So to me, it feels like I should Hacker, but I guess I'm just going to play it slow and counter whatever they play here. Maybe. Inspector. I'll counter that. It could be relevant for our Hacker in a second. That's the other thing is it's like, well, I'm holding by holding this up, they don't play maybe, okay, they just have a Pyroblast, so it doesn't matter anyway, but they could maybe not be playing a Glint Hawk here, but then do I just not cast the Sprite? Like, I don't know Faeries enough. I don't know it well enough to know if that's what I should do or not. You know, just like, not cast anything because it's not the right thing to counter, because then I waste my mana. Maybe I should have gone for the Hacker originally and then just tried to ride out those 2 cards. I don't know. We do get a Fairy Seer into Have One Mind, which is kind of nice if they don't all get blown up. Yeah, Bind the Monster, Counterspell seem decent enough. We'll keep those and draw them both. And they just have Cast in the Fire. If they didn't have that and we could keep one of our creatures alive, I'd be a lot more comfortable. But now that's pretty dang bad. They attack for 1, Lembas, and Inspector. So I don't want to counter that, so I don't. But then my Humbling Elder, I'm going to play. I mean, I maybe shouldn't play at this point, but like I wanted to play so that if I get a Ninja, I can activate it. Or I can Ninjutsu. But we mulligan to 5, and then we got 2 for 1s right there with the Cast in the Fire. That's kind of just it, I think. We're kind of toast. But we're going to just pass back to them, see what they get. Glint Hawk, I'll counter that. Okay, they pass. I mean, I guess our deck does also hold a little bit of power. Our 1/2 is able to hold back their 1/2s because, like, they don't want us to get in with a Ninja, which is kind of decent. But they also have just way more cards than us with all these clues. Can't counter a Glint Hawk or the Lembas. Now we get a Spell Stutter to counter the next Glint Hawk, I suppose. There's a Synth. Gonna counter it with the Hydro. And if they Pyro, then I'm gonna Spell Stutter that. But they have a Galvanic, so it doesn't really matter. Flips up a Glint Hawk, of course. Of course it does. Oh my gosh. And that flips up a Galvanic Blast, which they go at face. I guess that's fair. I thought maybe they'd take out the Elder, but they also have a Skyfisher. Alright, well, I don't think there's any way we are timing them out 4 minutes here with all their stuff on board, so this match feels impossible, but I mean, we did all right. I was just hoping for the 4-1, obviously. This deck's cool, but, we got a 3-2 with it. Very much a deck that rewards you, I think, for knowing the deck well and knowing how to play it properly. Very much like a Black Sack, which is part of why I enjoy the deck, but part of why, without putting the 300-400 matches that I put into Black Sack, it feels very tough to pilot a deck like this. Faeries just always feels like I don't quite know how to get the maximum amount out of all my spells. And as much as I would like to know that, there's so many other decks that I prefer to play that I probably won't end up putting the time in for this one. But I'm always open to hearing, little suggestions for ways I can improve and trying to improve slowly over the long term. It's just not what I'm going to dedicate a lot of time to all at once, But in any case, I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you to my monthly supporters. If you want to support me on a monthly basis, it's the best way to make sure that I keep putting out daily videos. You can go ahead and check my Metafy link down below. Thank you to my current $10 and up supporters, Howard Granger, Rafa Rodriguez, JDNPX, Tomasa Magnani, Apple Beta Pi, Halkaz, Cody Cowell, Sty, and Emmanuel Mayer. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you all next time.